Podcast Talk. Learn English naturally.
Talking about hobbies.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Podcast Hub. I'm John.
And I'm Daniela. Thanks so much for tuning in today.
Today's episode is all about hobbies, how to talk about your interests, passions, and leisure activities in natural, fluent English.
This is such an important topic because hobbies are one of the most common conversation starters. When you meet someone new, they'll almost always ask, "What do you do for fun?" or "What are your hobbies?"
And being able to talk enthusiastically about your interests helps you connect with people, make friends, and have more engaging conversations.
Plus, we'll teach you tons of vocabulary for different types of hobbies: sports, creative pursuits, outdoor activities, collecting, and more.
But before we start, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, turn on notifications, and comment below. So let's start with the basics. Daniela, what are some common ways to ask someone about their hobbies?
The most straightforward is, "What are your hobbies?" But there are many variations that sound more natural in conversation.
You might hear, what do you do for fun? Or what do you do in your free time? Or what do you like to do when you're not working?
Or more casually, "What are you into?" Or "What do you enjoy doing?" Or even, "How do you spend your weekends?"
What are you into is very common and informal. I'm really into photography means photography is your passion or strong interest.
Now let's talk about how to answer these questions. What are some good structures for talking about your hobbies?
You can start with I enjoy, I love, I'm passionate about, I'm really into, or I like to.
For example, "I enjoy reading mystery novels," or "I love hiking in the mountains," or "I'm passionate about cooking."
You can also use one of my hobbies is, or in my free time I like to, or I spend a lot of time.
For example, "One of my hobbies is photography," or "In my free time, I like to paint," or "I spend a lot of time playing guitar."
Now let's go through different categories of hobbies and the vocabulary for each. Let's start with creative hobbies.
Creative hobbies include things like painting, drawing, sketching, sculpting, photography, writing, poetry, crafting, knitting, sewing, and pottery.
If you paint, you might say, I paint landscapes in watercolor, or I do oil painting, or I paint portraits.
If you're into photography, you could say, "I'm an amateur photographer," or "I love taking nature photos," or "I do street photography."
Amateur means you do it for enjoyment, not professionally. It's not an insult, it just means it's your hobby, not your job.
For writing, you might say, "I write short stories," or "I keep a journal," or "I'm working on a novel," or "I write poetry in my spare time."
What about crafts? How do people talk about those?
You might say, "I make jewelry," or "I do woodworking," or "I knit scarves and sweaters," or "I'm into scrapbooking."
I'm into is very versatile and casual. You can be into almost anything. I'm into vintage cars, I'm into yoga, I'm into cooking.
Now let's talk about musical hobbies. What vocabulary is useful here?
You might play an instrument, play the piano, play guitar, sing in a choir, write songs, or produce music.
Notice we say "play the piano" with "the," but "play guitar" without "the." For most instruments you use "the," but for guitar, bass, and drums, it's optional.
You might describe your skill level. I'm a beginner, I'm intermediate, I've been playing for 10 years, or I'm pretty good but not professional.
Or you might say, "I'm learning to play piano," or "I'm teaching myself guitar," or "I take violin lessons."
Now, let's discuss sports and physical activities. This is a huge category.
You can play sports, work out, exercise, train, go running, go cycling, go swimming, or practice martial arts.
For team sports, you say, I play soccer, I play basketball, I play volleyball. For individual sports, you might say, I run marathons, I do yoga, I practice karate.
You can describe how often you do it. "I play tennis twice a week," or "I go to the gym every day," or "I run on weekends."
Or describe your commitment level. I play recreationally, I'm on a competitive team, I take it pretty seriously, or I just do it for fun.
What about outdoor and adventure hobbies?
These include hiking, camping, rock climbing, kayaking, surfing, skiing, snowboarding, fishing, hunting, bird watching, and stargazing.
You might say, I love hiking. I try to hit the trails every weekend. Or I go camping whenever I can. Or I'm really into rock climbing.
Hit the trails is a nice colloquial expression for going hiking. We hit the trails early Saturday morning.
For water sports, you might say, I go surfing at the beach. Or I kayak on the lake. Or I'm learning to scuba dive.
Now let's talk about collecting hobbies. What do people collect?
People collect all sorts of things: stamps, coins, vintage items, antiques, art, books, vinyl records, sports memorabilia, action figures, and more.
You'd say, I collect old coins, or I'm a book collector, or I collect vintage posters from the 1960s.
You might describe your collection, like, I have over 500 books in my collection, or I've been collecting stamps since I was a kid, or my collection includes some rare pieces.
Now let's discuss gaming and technology hobbies.
This includes video gaming, board gaming, programming, coding, building computers, flying drones, and robotics.
You might say, I'm a gamer, I love RPGs and strategy games, or I play video games competitively, or I'm into board games, especially strategy games.
RPG stands for role-playing game. There are lots of gaming abbreviations, like FPS for first-person shooter, MMORG for massively multiplayer online role-playing game.
For tech hobbies, you might say, I build custom computers, or I'm learning to code in Python, or I fly drones and take aerial photography.
Now let's talk about culinary hobbies, cooking and food-related interests.
You might say, I love to cook, I'm really into baking, I experiment with new recipes, or I'm a home chef.
You can get specific, like I bake sourdough bread, or I make homemade pasta, or I'm into barbecuing, or I roast my own coffee beans.
Or you might focus on learning. I'm taking a cooking class, or I'm watching a lot of cooking shows, or I'm learning French cuisine.
Related hobbies include wine tasting, craft beer brewing, coffee roasting, or growing your own vegetables.
I'm into craft beer. I visit different breweries. Or I grow my own tomatoes and herbs. Or I've gotten really into wine tasting.
Now let's discuss intellectual and educational hobbies.
These include reading, learning languages, doing puzzles, playing chess, studying history, astronomy, genealogy, or taking online courses.
You might say, I'm an avid reader. I read about a book a week. Or, I love learning languages. I'm currently studying Japanese.
Avid means enthusiastic and dedicated. Avid reader, avid cyclist, avid gardener. It shows real passion.
For puzzles, you might say, I do crossword puzzles every morning. Or, I'm really into jigsaw puzzles. Or, I solve Sudoku to relax.
You could say, I'm a chess player, or I play chess online, or I'm part of a chess club.
Now let's talk about social and community hobbies.
These include volunteering, joining clubs, attending meetups, participating in book clubs, being in a choir or theater group, or organizing events.
You might say, I volunteer at the animal shelter on weekends, or I'm in a book club that meets monthly, or I'm part of an amateur theater group.
These hobbies are great for meeting people with similar interests and building community connections.
Now let's discuss how to talk about why you enjoy your hobby. This makes your conversation more interesting and personal.
You can talk about what attracts you to the hobby. I love photography because it lets me be creative and capture beautiful moments.
Or, I enjoy running because it clears my mind and keeps me healthy. Or, I'm into cooking because I love experimenting with flavors.
You might mention how it makes you feel. It relaxes me. It challenges me. It energizes me. It gives me a sense of accomplishment.
Or, talk about what you get from it. It's my creative outlet. It's my way of staying active. It's how I decompress after work. It connects me with nature.
Let's practice some dialogues. I'll ask you about your hobbies and you respond naturally. Ready?
Ready.
So, Danella, what do you like to do in your free time?
I'm really into photography, actually. I love going out on weekends and taking nature photos, landscapes, wildlife, that sort of thing.
Oh, that sounds great. How long have you been doing photography?
About 5 years now. I started with just my phone camera, but now I have a proper DSLR and I'm learning about different techniques like long exposure and macro photography.
That's awesome. What is it about photography that you enjoy?
I think it's the way it forces me to slow down and really observe my surroundings. Plus, I love the creative challenge of composing a shot and playing with light, and there's something satisfying about capturing a perfect moment.
Do you do anything with your photos?
I post some on Instagram, and I've actually had a couple displayed in local coffee shops. Nothing professional, just for fun. But I'd love to maybe do a gallery show someday.
Perfect. That was a very natural conversation about a hobby. Notice how Daniela elaborated, gave details, and talked about what she enjoys about it.
Exactly. When someone asks about your hobbies, don't just give one-word answers. Share details, show enthusiasm, and explain why you enjoy it.
Let's do another one. Daniela asked me this time.
Sure. John, what are you passionate about? What do you do when you're not working?
I'm a big music person. I play guitar, mostly blues and rock, and I also collect vinyl records.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about the vinyl collecting. What got you into that?
Well, I've always loved the sound quality of vinyl. It's warmer and more authentic than digital. I started collecting about 10 years ago, focusing on classic rock albums from the 60s and 70s. Now I have about 300 records.
Wow, that's quite a collection. Do you have a favorite piece?
That's tough. But I have an original pressing of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon that's in pristine condition. It's probably my prized possession. I also love hunting for rare records at garage sales and vintage shops. It's like a treasure hunt.
And you mentioned you play guitar too. Are those hobbies connected?
Definitely. Collecting records has exposed me to so many different artists and styles, which influences my guitar playing. I'll hear a cool riff on a record and then try to learn it. They really complement each other.
Great example. Notice how John connected his hobbies and shared specific details like the number of records and his favorite album?
Right. Specific details make your stories more engaging and memorable. Don't be vague. Paint a picture with your words.
Now let's discuss how to talk about hobbies you're just starting versus ones you've done for a long time.
For new hobbies, you might say, I recently got into, I just started, I'm learning to, or I've been trying.
I recently got into gardening. I just started taking yoga classes. I'm learning to play piano. Or I've been trying my hand at painting.
Trying my hand at is a great idiom that means attempting something new. I'm trying my hand at woodworking.
For long-term hobbies, you might say, I've been doing this for years. I've been playing since I was a kid. This has been a passion of mine for a long time.
You might also mention progression. I started as a beginner, but now I'm pretty advanced, or I've gotten really good at it over the years.
Now let's discuss how to ask follow-up questions when someone shares their hobby. This shows interest and keeps the conversation flowing.
You can ask, how did you get into that? What do you enjoy most about it? How often do you do it? Are you part of any clubs or groups?
Or what's the most challenging part? Have you ever competed or performed? Do you have a goal you're working toward?
These open-ended questions encourage the person to share more and show you're genuinely interested.
Now let's discuss vocabulary for describing skill level and commitment.
You might be a beginner, novice, intermediate, advanced, expert, or master at something.
You can say, I'm still learning the basics, I'm getting the hang of it, I'm pretty competent, I'm quite skilled, or I've mastered it.
Getting the hang of it means you're starting to understand to become comfortable with something. It was hard at first, but I'm getting the hang of it.
For commitment level, you might say, I dabble in, which means you do it occasionally but not seriously.
I dabble in photography suggests it's a casual interest, not a serious hobby. Contrast that with I'm dedicated to photography or I'm serious about photography.
You might say, I'm committed to practicing every day. I take it very seriously. I'm competitive about it. Or I just do it for fun, nothing serious.
Now let's talk about hobbies that involve community or social elements.
Many hobbies have social aspects. You might join a club, be part of a team, attend meetups, go to workshops, or participate in events.
You could say, I'm in a cycling club. We go on group rides every Sunday. Or I attend a weekly photography meetup where we share our work.
Or I play in a softball league. I'm part of an online gaming community. Or I go to craft fairs to sell my jewelry.
These social elements can make hobbies more enjoyable and help you meet like-minded people.
Now let's discuss how to talk about the equipment or materials involved in your hobby.
For photography, you might mention your camera, lenses, tripod, or editing software.
For painting, you'd talk about brushes, canvas, paints, whether they're oil, acrylic, or watercolor.
For music, you'd mention your instrument, amplifier, music stand, sheet music, or recording equipment.
You might say, I invested in a good quality guitar, or I use professional grade paints, or I have a whole room set up as my studio.
Talking about your equipment shows how invested you are in the hobby and can be a great conversation point with others who share the interest.
Now let's discuss achievements and milestones in your hobbies.
You might mention competitions you've entered, performances you've given, projects you've completed, or personal goals you've reached.
You might say, I ran my first marathon last year. I performed in a local art show. I completed a 1,000-piece puzzle. Or I finally mastered that difficult song.
You can express pride in your accomplishments like, I'm really proud that or it was a big achievement when or one of my proudest moments was.
Or you can talk about future goals. I'm working toward, my next goal is, I hope to eventually, or I'd love to someday.
I'm working toward running a half marathon. My next goal is to display my art in a gallery. I'd love to someday publish my poetry.
Now let's discuss hobbies that have evolved or changed over time.
You might say, I used to be really into skateboarding, but now I'm more into cycling. Or, I started with drawing, but I've transitioned to digital art.
Or my interests have evolved. I used to collect stamps, now I collect vintage cameras.
This shows that hobbies aren't static. They can grow, change, or lead to new interests. It's all part of personal development.
Now let's discuss hobbies that have practical benefits or applications.
You might say, I cook because it saves money and I eat healthier. Or I learned car maintenance so I can fix my own vehicle.
Or I garden because I love having fresh vegetables. Or I sew because I can make my own clothes and alterations.
Some hobbies can even become side businesses. I started selling my crafts online. I do freelance photography on weekends. Or I sell produce from my garden at the farmer's market.
Now let's discuss how to be enthusiastic without being boring when talking about your hobbies.
The key is to read your audience. If someone seems interested, you can share more details. If they seem less engaged, keep it brief.
Use descriptive language and tell stories rather than just listing facts. I love hiking is okay, but last month I hiked this incredible waterfall. The view was breathtaking, is more engaging.
Show your passion through your tone and energy, but also be willing to ask about the other person's interests. Conversation should be balanced.
And it's okay to be a bit humble, too. You don't want to come across as bragging. I'm pretty decent at chess. Sounds better than I'm amazing at chess.
Now let's talk about how to connect with someone over shared hobbies.
If you discover someone shares your interest, you can say, oh, you're into photography, too? We should go shoot together sometime.
Or you play guitar? What kind of music do you play? Or you run? What's your favorite route?
Shared hobbies are a great foundation for friendship. You instantly have something in common and activities you can do together.
You might exchange recommendations. Have you tried this hiking trail? Have you read this book? Do you follow this artist?
Now let's discuss some common mistakes people make when talking about hobbies.
One mistake is being too vague. I like sports. Doesn't tell anyone much. I play basketball twice a week and I'm on a recreational league. Is much better.
Another mistake is giving one-word answers. When someone asks about your hobbies, don't just say, reading. Say, I love reading, especially historical fiction. I'm currently reading a fascinating novel about World War II.
Being overly modest can also be a mistake. If someone asks about your hobbies, don't say, I don't really do anything interesting. Everyone has interests worth sharing.
And on the flip side, dominating the conversation with hobby talk without showing interest in the other person is also a mistake. Balance is key.
Now, let's create some useful sentence templates for talking about hobbies.
I've always been interested in hobby. I got into hobby about time period ago. What I love most about hobby is reason. I try to do hobby at least frequency.
I'm hoping to, goal related to hobby. The most challenging part is challenge. I've learned so much from hobby, especially lesson. If you're interested in hobby, I'd recommend advice.
These templates give you a structure to build your responses while still allowing for personalization.
Now, let's do a final comprehensive dialogue where we both share multiple hobbies and have a natural conversation.
Great idea. I'll start. So, John, besides work, what keeps you busy? What are you into these days?
Oh, quite a few things actually. I mentioned the guitar and vinyl collecting, but I'm also really into cooking. I love trying new recipes, especially Asian cuisine. I've gotten pretty good at making homemade ramen from scratch.
That's impressive. I love cooking too, though I'm more into baking. I make sourdough bread. I maintain my own starter and everything. It's become kind of an obsession, honestly.
Sourdough is an art. My friend does that, and it's way more involved than I realized. Do you do any other creative hobbies?
Yeah, I mentioned photography earlier, but I also journal every morning. It's more therapeutic than creative, I guess. It helps me organize my thoughts and set intentions for the day.
I've tried journaling, but never stuck with it. I admire people who can maintain that discipline. I do meditate, though, about 15 minutes every morning. It's been a game changer for my mental health.
That's great. I've been meaning to get into meditation. Any tips for getting started?
Start small. Even 5 minutes helps. Use an app like Headspace or Calm if you need guidance. The key is consistency, not duration. What about physical hobbies? Do you play any sports?
I'm not super athletic, but I do yoga 3 times a week. I find it's great for both physical and mental health. And on weekends, I like to go hiking when the weather's nice.
I love hiking too. There are some great trails around here. We should go sometime. I also cycle. I ride my bike to work when I can, and I do longer rides on weekends.
That sounds fun. I'd definitely be up for a hike. Do you have any hobbies that are more relaxing, like just for unwinding?
I read a lot, mostly nonfiction, biographies, history, science, and I'm a bit of a movie buff. I love classic films from the 40s and 50s.
Oh, I love old movies too. Have you seen any good ones recently?
I just rewatched Casablanca. Never gets old. What about you? Any other interests I haven't asked about?
Well, this might sound random, but I've recently gotten into bird watching. I know, it sounds like an old person's hobby, but there's something peaceful about it. I've identified over 50 species in my area.
That's actually really cool. I think any hobby that gets you outside and observing nature is valuable. Plus, it requires patience and attention to detail, which are good skills to develop.
Exactly. And it's something I can do alone or with others, which I like. It's flexible.
Perfect example of a natural, engaging conversation about hobbies. Notice how we both shared multiple interests, asked follow-up questions, and found common ground?
Right, we showed genuine interest in each other's hobbies, even ones we don't personally do. That's what makes for good conversation.
And we shared enough detail to make it interesting without overwhelming the other person with too much information.
Exactly. The key is balance. Be enthusiastic, but not overbearing. Be specific, but not tedious. And always show interest in the other person, too.
As we wrap up, let's give our listeners some final tips for talking about hobbies in English.
First, don't be shy about your interests. Whatever your hobby is, own it with confidence. There's nothing too nerdy, too simple, or too unusual to share.
Second, practice describing your hobbies before you need to. Think about how you'd explain them to someone who's never heard of them.
Third, use hobbies as conversation starters. When meeting new people, asking about hobbies is a safe, friendly topic that usually leads to good discussions.
Fourth, be open to trying new hobbies. When someone tells you about their interest, approach it with curiosity rather than judgment.
And finally, remember that hobbies are about enjoyment. Don't feel pressured to be amazing at everything you do. It's okay to be a beginner. It's okay to do things just for fun.
Thank you all so much for joining us on English Podcast Hub today. We hope this episode has given you the vocabulary and confidence to talk about your hobbies in English.
Remember, your hobbies are a window into who you are. Sharing them helps people get to know the real you.
If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with other English learners.
And we'd love to hear from you. What are your hobbies? Let us know in the comments.
Until next time, Keep pursuing your passions and practicing your English.
Happy learning, everyone!